Righty. Hello, Destanee. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Glad to hear that I'm doing well as well. Thanks for asking.
Of course.
So, as you know already, I'll ask a question similar to this to people that come on that are new on the podcast. What is something true about God, and why do you believe that?
Something true about God is, he's a comforter. And I believe
Mm.
that because I have been comforted by the Lord in so many different instances and areas. And I think the comfort that he gives is so unique and tailored to me as a person, to the situation that I need to be comforted by, the length of time that I feel the comfort. He doesn't revoke it pre the comforting doing its complete work. And all of those things together, like literally tailored for me. It's like, oh no,
Mm.
like you do this, like you're a comforter. So
Yeah,
I believe that.
that's awesome. That might be the first time someone has said comforter. So, that is awesome. That's a really good one. I think comfort and counsel go hand in hand. So,
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. All righty. So, who are you and why are you here today?
My name is Destanee. I go by Des, and I am the host and creator of the Power and Pros podcast, a platform that serves as an active advocate for Black women to embody their authentic voice in Christ. And so each and every week, I go up on my podcast and I just talk about owning our voice. Pros is another word for story. When you own your story, you own your power. So that's kind of what I talk about. And today I'm here because I have a story that I want to share. I think is very relevant for us in this time as, I don't know, just people that are walking and following Christ. And as we talk about waiting, as we talk about the different struggles that come with that, I think that my story might be able to help some people, whether you can relate to my story directly or not, as we talk about being Christians and what that has to do with our sexuality.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. All beautiful. Yeah. As you guys, you've already seen the topic today. So it's a big hitter. It's a big hitter, but I'm so glad that you reached out to me to have this conversation. And you're also a longtime listener. I think you're like the first longtime listener I've had on. So really cool. And just
Oh,
yeah, just, this is a testimony to see like I do respond to people and we set up meetings and I'm more than willing to allow people to share their stories because I think it's so important. And I think there's a lot more Christians talking about these things more now, but there's still people that have no clue and aren't having these conversations. So
yeah,
really glad that you reached out to me.
me too.
All right. So I'm going to start with this question. What conversations did you have growing up with, I guess, adults around sex?
Where do I start? I think my first conversation was somebody in my class. I wish I could give y'all a very, very accurate age. I'm not sure. Maybe fifth grade. Somebody had a period and she found out in the bathroom and she getting paper towels, trying to put it in her underwear or whatever. And all the girls, everybody's in the bathroom. If you was there when old girl got her period, that was the event of the week of like, oh my gosh, because she was the first one. None of us knew. It was like, what is happening? And
Okay.
so I got home and I was like, Mama, guess what? And I'm giving her the tea of the day. And so my mom, I don't know. Again, I don't remember if I talked about it at school before about our cycles and things. I don't know if my mom talked about it before. I'm sure it's happened, but I think how big this event was, and maybe I said something that triggered like, let's have a chat. She was like, do you know like why that's a thing? Do you understand like you're gonna get one of those one day? And like da da da. She was asking me what the other girls are saying, and so I think that was my first real combo about the act or my body, the anatomy of a woman.
Okay.
But I think that conversation was pretty void of males. And like they don't get periods, but they also go through a change in their body. And when this change happens, there are things that you're gonna want to do that I don't want you to do. I think she said like there's something that has happened, which I don't know if I can couple it with this memory, right? But definitely got messages of like sex is a thing except for you, like don't do it. And
Right.
that was it. It wasn't tied to Christ, it wasn't tied to why not. And I think I got other messages from other adults, like Raven Baxter's mom on That's So Raven or XYZ, where I feel like I was taking up messages of like, okay, you can have a baby if you have sex, and you can be, there's these moments that happen if you go, like I used to watch Sister and like, okay, they had boyfriends after a while on the episodes and they were going to prom, and there's an expectation when you go to prom. That's interesting. Like I'm younger than all of these people that I'm watching on TV, right? And so they're going to prom before I would go to prom. They're having boyfriends before I had boyfriends. That girl in my class had her period before I had mine. And so I got to take in a lot of messages, I think, about sex before it was really something I would have brought to myself to talk about or think about. And so I think because I didn't really have I didn't have too many questions. You have a kid, and they asking a lot of questions, and it's like, okay, I gotta shut this down. I didn't really have a lot of that because it wasn't really a thought of mine of like, let's explore this topic. And so I think because there was a lack of curiosity on my end, there was a lack of over explaining from the physical adults in my world to feel like they need to tell me more information because I wasn't seeking more information. So I think I found out a lot of things second and third and fourth party.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and that speaks definitely to the TV that children are watching. Because
Yeah.
you named a lot of people that are on the television. Raven Baxter. And that reminds me of The Boys in Motion. Which has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but that just popped into my head. If you don't know Boys in Motion, you're too young for me. Okay, you're too young for us. You don't know what we're talking about. So okay, yeah, you were not interested when you were younger. When did you feel like that interest really started for you and like you were actually looking for answers?
I feel like I was a late bloomer.
Okay.
Looking for answers. 15, I
Okay.
guess. I was having my period by then for sure. I was having my period at 12. And so yeah, but I didn't have my first boyfriend until 15. So I
Okay.
think then yeah, I was like, I like you and you like me. This is so nice. It's so exciting. And he used to just walk me home and all these things. But
Mm-hmm.
it took us a long time before we became boyfriend and girlfriend. And so once we did, I was like, oh, I think we're gonna have to talk about something. Like we talked about it before, but I think we have to talk about something because I'm a virgin and I'm like, oh, like I think this is a big deal. Because I knew that he wasn't. And
Okay.
I was like, I'm not ready to do that. Like I for sure knew right now, you walking me home right now, me going to your basketball games right now, please. Like I was like, I'm not ready for that. And
Yeah.
so again, I think I'm going further like in discoveries or recognizing things. And I'm kissing more than I was before, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I was looking for answers. There are some people who like Google things or they're talking to other people about stuff. I just don't think I think I had a pretty good feeling of peace about where I
Mm-hmm.
was at. And there were other people, we both got talked about because we weren't having sex actually. And this one guy on the football team was kind of ragging him like, yeah, you still ain't hit this yet. Like, if I was me, I would da da da. And
Wow.
I didn't think I think I got offended later because I feel like I was supposed to. But in the beginning, I was like, no, you wouldn't. Like, I was like, the audacity of you to think that you have any more power to make me do something I want to do. That's
Right.
really funny. Like, you know?
Yeah, that's
So
concerning.
I think that I had a piece about it overall and a
Mm-hmm.
piece about the person I was with, and it was accepted. So it was like, okay, you're my boyfriend. I don't have to have sex with you. This is lovely.
Yeah.
We can just keep walking home and going to school and being cute. Like this is great.
Yeah.
So I think I'm having different conversations than I had before. I have different like for somebody than I had before. But I didn't have a resolve to change actions versus what I was doing before in the
Mm-hmm.
beginning.
Yeah. So what made you want to actually be a virgin then? Like why did you even hold tight to that?
um I think I have a thing, like I don't have tattoos, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's something you can't undo. You can. now, but I mean, like, the thought is this thing is on you forever. And I even
Yeah.
think cover-ups or when people get them removed, it looks horrid. Like, I
And
don't
it's
think it
still
looks good.
painful, right? It's a painful
Right?
process to even go through that.
It is. So for me, I've thought about it before. There's a placement. I will get a tattoo right here on my wrist. But what do I want on my body forever?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. Like, there's nothing I've decided that I want.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I put faith right here, it's like, okay, what if the next era of my life I want to put joy instead? It's like, oh, it's too late. I already put faith. Like, you know.
You're gonna have the whole
So
fruit of the spirit down your arm.
exactly. Temperance, like, please. So I think at that time, that's where I was at. I'm like, well, I can't undo this. I know that for sure. So
Mm.
if I'm not ready to do that, like, you know, like, do something that I can't undo, then that's why I felt the resolve. Like, well, I want to do it. And I feel the same thing. Like, I could totally get tattooed. I'm at my mama's house. I could pay for it myself, like, whatever. I just don't have the resolve that there's
Mm-hmm.
anything I need inked on my skin forever. So I haven't
Yeah.
got it. It low key has nothing, not even low key, high key. It don't got nothing to do with what the Bible's talking about. Nothing to
Okay.
do with, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like, anything else, it's just like, yeah, there's nothing that I feel so convictedly strong about that I'm like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's it. And I think that was my virginity story. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I need to do this, so I'm not. And then when that started to change, I didn't, I wasn't in a place with God where once that started to change, I would go to him about it. I wasn't there. And so when
Okay.
that changed, I went to my best friend. So who
Okay.
my best friend was my boyfriend. That's like a dangerous person to talk to if the person that like, you know, you're
The
talking
one that
about
you're being tempted
you.
by, you're going to him about your
Exactly.
temptation.
Exactly.
I can fix
So
that real quick for you.
that was interesting
Mm-hmm.
because there wasn't an immediate, you met me like a best friend and not a boyfriend about it. And I don't even think it was on some, you're trying to be mischievous, like, blah blah. I just think that's where we were, and that's
Mm-hmm.
why I went to him about it. And so you were like, yeah, I don't think when you're ready, you're ready. And that's always what it was, right? So please note, there was never a this part of my life, this part of my journey, it was not God led. It just wasn't.
This is
So
BC.
BC, oh, big BC, big BC. I was introduced to Christ when I was younger, but them
Mm-hmm.
teen years
Quiet.
wasn't on the main line, if you will. So I didn't plan it, right? I was with my boyfriend for over a year,
Okay.
and we didn't plan it like, oh, you know what, after homecoming, that's the night, or you know what, after there was no that moment.
Mm-hmm.
There was space and opportunity at a time where we were alone and it wasn't no adults, and I felt safe. And I think that I
Mm-hmm.
decided, boom, boom, and I felt like I was ready,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that meant to 16-year-old Des at the time.
Yeah.
And I felt like, okay, I could get this tattoo and I won't regret it. That's where I came to my mind, and
Mm-hmm.
that rang true for me. After I had sex for the first time, it rang true every time after that. I was like, yeah, look, my, like, not even looking at my new tattoo for like other people, but like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I did this thing and I
Mm-hmm.
feel good about it. Every time I look at it, I feel peace. I feel good. I made a good decision.
Mm-hmm.
And the good decision from a sex standpoint was the person. I think the place, right? There are some people, I feel like everybody got a story. Somebody at their high school was under the bleachers or some so
Yeah.
so so
Yep.
so. Wasn't my story, right? So it's like I felt okay with the place. I felt okay with the person, and I
Mm-hmm.
felt okay. I actually felt not vindicated. What is the word? I had a sense of pride
Like
that I
liberated, maybe.
waited over a year. I
Mm.
had definitely a sense of pride. It was like
Oh, okay.
it was on my terms, and I waited X amount of time, and other people feel that they can't find a person that's willing to wait for them, and I did. That's how I
Mm.
felt.
Okay.
And so because that all worked out, and that after I did it, the person didn't leave. They didn't just, oh, I got what I wanted, I can dip. I felt even more prideful. Not like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah. That
yeah, I
makes
made the
sense.
right decision.
Mm-hmm.
And so I walked in that for a long time. And then this is my first and this is my only. So I felt another thing with that. We in high school.
Mhm.
It's a lot of people that ain't got a lot of onlys in
Oh
high
yeah.
school. It's just
Mhm.
that's just the truth, right?
Mhm.
And so while I transitioned from this none category to this space that at the time I didn't have a full knowing or a full care that God
Mhm.
never wanted me to leave that space because
Yeah.
I wasn't entering the container that He wanted me to enjoy that in.
Mhm.
I made my own container.
Mhm.
And it was a container that the world also passed people on the back for. And so
Yeah.
I was like, I'm straight. I'm straight. Some of y'all ain't as straight as me. Like I'm good. And I walked in that. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I was with my boyfriend. We had sex. And then I was hush about it. So I wasn't just running like, Dina, I'm a woman now. Like that was not my story. And that made me feel good too. Like I know
Mm.
how to I don't I don't need the validation of other people now that I'm not a
Mm.
virgin anymore, right? And so all of these things made me feel like I was in control of my
Yeah.
sexuality. I felt like I was making sound decisions, right? And
Mhm.
that I'm a good person. And I think we all have that good person tag, love is enough, woo woo woo. So
Mhm.
all of those things kind of check the box for me to be able to move forward and not just move forward that one time, but to continue moving forward.
Yeah, and you know what? I definitely think that if you're in the world, that's beautiful. You know, if we take Christ off of that, wow, great job. You are with someone. I mean, you valued yourself enough to wait for someone that cared enough about you to not leave after they had sex with you. So I think in the world, yeah, I could see how that would be commendable, but in Christ, that's not how it should be.
No.
Because there's a lack of commitment still. Yes, he's still
Mm-hmm.
with you and he's committed to you even the day after and those the days after that. Um, but he has not committed himself to you. He hasn't made a covenant to be with you for the rest of your life and to love
Mm-hmm.
you and honor you in that way. So when do you feel like that mindset changed for you? Because I feel like in the world that would be reasonable to continue with that mindset. So when did that change?
After I had an abortion.
Okay.
So I losing my virginity was in high school. I ended up going to college with this person, and I even graduated still with this person, and
Okay.
I'm still having sex. So to me, this time that's going by is further proving my original point in
Yeah.
my head, right? Of
Mhm.
like, period. I done got my man. We finna walk up out of here like I'm out the streets. I don't gotta be in the street. I've done it. I have
Yeah.
succeeded at this whole
Mm.
dating thing. This is lovely. And please know, lots of ups and downs and like
Okay.
lots of breakup, makeup, right? So not the perfect relationship at all. When you're talking
Okay.
about covenant, um, forget like not even being covenant to me. That's like your walk with God ain't copacetic. Like, like it was like all
Yeah.
these
That's
things.
another layer, yeah.
So we get to I was an intern in New York. And I'm not from New York. So I'm from St. Louis, Midwest girly. And so was he. And so I got my internship in New York and I have been on birth control this whole time. So I'm on birth control and my internship in New York I was getting the shot. And so the shot, at least when I was getting it, is every 3 months. You have to go and get a new shot. My internship timeline had me off my birth control timeline. But
Ooh.
because I'm not having sex with anybody in New York, I was like, oh, I can just make it till I get home. Like, that's fine. I'm not going to spend energy looking for somebody in New York to go to. I trust my people at home, da da da. So that
Okay.
was my thought. And again, I'm trusting my judgment for years. I'm trusting my decision
Mhm.
making for years. And I feel like I
Mhm.
know myself for years. So that's great. I had my boyfriend visit me in New York. So
Mm.
now what my safety net was, I'm not doing anything. So I'm straight. That
Mhm.
has changed because a person has visited me and I haven't seen you in months. So we have sex. I'm off my timeline. And I thought something, but I was like, nah. Like, you'd be like worried about something. You're like, nah, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. And I wasn't. So I
Mm.
didn't know. I go home. He came towards the end of my internship too. So I go home. I got a job before I left.
Oh,
So I
cool.
go home. I'm doing the prep. Like, oh my gosh, I'm moving to the city, woo, woo, woo. And we're having our last moments of like hanging out, all of this stuff. But I was like, I don't know. Like I was like, I have had my period be moved. It
Mhm.
is pretty regular, but I've had to be moved by stress
Yeah.
before.
Mhm.
Finals week in college, like XYZ, is like it could be moved. And so
Mhm.
with this move in New York, I'm like, wow, I'm really moving across the country, all these things. My period shifted, and I paid attention to that. But I was like,
Mhm.
well, makes my history again, me trusting me. I was like, that makes
Mhm.
sense because finals week, same thing, right? But I've had, like I said, we are off of our birth control timeline and we have had a visitor. And so I moved to New York, two roommates, 39K, and pregnant.
Mm.
That's what I found out. I found out
Mm.
3 weeks after I moved here.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, this is crazy. I am
Mhm.
pregnant. Like it was like my life is starting and I had goals and plans and they're
Mhm.
in front of me. They're right here.
Mhm.
And now we have this thing that I felt was going to take me away from all of that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, okay, what you going to do? And I could not reconcile. I think it was a lack of faith and a lack of desire to move forward with that pregnancy. The lack of faith in terms of faith that I could be a mom, faith that
Mm.
we could figure out. I moved to New York without my boyfriend, so how's that gonna happen? Or lack of faith that you gonna move up here? I'm not going back home. I done what I was supposed to do, and I'm here. Like I couldn't fathom giving that up. Like it was just insane.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't have as much faith as the Holy Spirit even provides. I had the spirit in me, I must say. I but my like I said, my relationship with God we weren't conversing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I didn't have that to lean on either. So I have
Mhm.
faith in me, and looking at me only, I don't have enough. I can't rise to the
Mm.
occasion of what this occasion is requiring me. And so this
Yeah.
whole time, that's how I've been moving, right? Is faith in me. Oh, well,
Yeah.
I can decide when I'm going to move forward. Oh, if I tell you I don't want to have sex and you don't want to talk to me, I can get me a person who's willing to wait. I
Mhm.
can whatever. So everything was very destiny led. And so getting to that space, and that's what I went to go lean on. It's like, okay, that's what you got. And I'm talking back to me like, I don't got this. I don't have this.
Mm.
Okay, you don't have it, don't have it.
Mm.
That
Okay.
was my thing. This is a permanent thing. Once again, going to my tattoo analogy,
Yeah.
you can't undo this, right? Either way, please know.
Right.
Either
Yeah.
way, you can't undo it. And so
Right.
that was my tug. You can't undo it either way. Which one
Mhm.
can you stomach? Which one can you rise to
Mm.
the occasion for? Which one do you have faith enough in that you
Mm.
can overcome? And
Mhm.
for me, abortion was what I felt like, okay. And that's how I landed. That's how I landed there.
Yeah, man, and I feel like that's a perfect testimony of like how the Lord literally brings us to the end of ourselves. Like you literally were like, Destiny, you got this. And you're like, no, I don't got this. Nope,
Mm-hmm.
neither one of us have this. But you are leaning on your own understanding the whole time. So you have to continue in
mm-hmm.
that. You don't have anything else to put that on. So it's like, I'm going to
Yep.
continue having to be what I need to be. And then you ask yourself, can you handle this? No, I can't. This is too much for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had to,
Mm-hmm.
your decision was like, I have to get an abortion.
Yeah. So that decision, it I made it quick. I was like,
Okay.
you gotta. I took some time, but I didn't because it was like, again, I know I don't have this. Like, it's not much to think about. I
Okay.
don't have it,
Mhm.
and thinking about support of family, money, the shame that I felt. I was like, I don't have this. So,
Mhm.
um, it took me a second. I gave myself time to think about it, but I didn't think long.
Okay.
And Googled, found a place, and I was like, okay, we're doing this. And so I went, I had me a book. I was like, okay, I heard you're gonna be there a little while. And I was nervous. And
Mm-hmm.
then I went in and I was
What
there
were the
for a
nerves for
minute.
you? What was causing you to be nervous?
The nerves, I mean, how's it gonna feel? I think if you go to the doctor, when I got my COVID shot, I was like, they was like, hold your arm steady, please. Like, you know what I mean?
You're moving.
So I think, yeah, general doctor nerves.
Okay.
And again, if I could decide that I want to get faith tattooed on my wrist,
Mm-hmm.
decided that, I think it's great. I think it glorifies God, my favorite scripture, whatever. But if I go into a tattoo parlor, I'm gonna be shaking. Like, oh, y'all about to stick me for real, right? So I think that I made the decision and there was no turning back for me. I never
Mm-hmm.
thought, oh, I could not do this. I was gonna do it. But I think it was you got there are things that come with that. Like you are
Yeah.
now a person who has had an abortion. You
Mm-hmm.
are now there's this thing that me and my boyfriend are, it's like is you know what I'm saying? It's just like there's a my relationship with sex has forever changed because of
Mm.
this scenario.
Okay.
So I went in, I did it, and then I was asleep. So then I woke up and I
Okay.
went into bed. One of the nurses realizes that I was up and she's trying to give me some juice and crackers. And I was like, waking up, not fully aware of where I was at. I
Mm.
realized where I was at and I couldn't breathe. I was like having a panic attack. I was like,
Mm.
oh my gosh. Like I'm in this place right now. This is crazy.
Mm.
And yeah, I went to brunch after.
Okay.
And me going to brunch after, I bring that up because I didn't drink a lot. I had like 2 mimosas. But the sip, the first sip, it was like I'm not Jesus, please note. But it was a very it is finished moment for me. Like it was
Mm-hmm.
like I can drink because I can drink. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like it's
Yeah.
like
Mm.
I have this knowing that a couple hours ago you weren't supposed to be, but right
Yeah.
now you can. And
Wow.
that
Yeah.
solidified of like, okay, it's done for real, for real. Like the doctors announced it was done. But I think for me, it was like, okay, we're in the clear, quote
Yeah.
unquote. We're not, but that was a thing that I did. After brunch, my friends wanted us to go to another spot. It was somebody's birthday. I went home and I
Mm-hmm.
cried. Like that is what I
Did
did. So
your
I think I
friends
needed
know?
that. No, heck no. Oh
Okay.
my God.
Okay.
Nobody
Yeah, that's
knew.
even more
My
isolating
friend,
though, too.
yeah, which is another reason why I think I wanted to go to brunch. I wanted that sense of normalcy. Even I have
Mm-hmm.
this feeling of like, um, I did something and nobody knows.
Yeah.
But I also don't want you to know.
Mm-hmm.
But I also need to process what just happened. But you didn't choose for your birthday to be today or my appointment to be today. And so I'm gonna show up to your birthday brunch.
Mm.
But also I can't show up to your birthday brunch. Like, I need to go home. Like I might
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
process what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Um After that, I had feelings of, again, right, looking at this tattoo, and I'm like, this is not gonna wash off in the shower. Like that's not
Mm.
what's happening here. Like this is a permanent thing, and the I guess the residual feeling of that permanency is that I did not wish that I was rocking a baby instead. I didn't.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so I think that was a weighty thing for me to come to terms with because I think from the messages that I feel I've received and just like what I know about life, you should. That's how you're supposed to feel is
Mm.
that, there's this huge regret and blah, 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 blah. And like, XYZ, and I didn't feel that, but I
Mm-hmm.
do think um I did feel shame in other areas. I talked about people that had abortions. I thought it was an interesting thing to me. I mentioned my pride I had before about the fact that I only had one partner. And
Yeah.
so I think there were times when I assumed more promiscuous people had different results to their sex life than what I deserved, quote unquote, to have because of how I
Okay.
was moving. So there were like different
Mm. Okay.
things that's not how anatomy works. If you have sex, then you can have a baby. Like that's how it
Right.
works. But again, I put these extra parameters, and I think we do that sometimes. If
Mm-hmm.
you get a little tipsy, but somebody else is drunk, you're better because you're not drunk as them, but you pass your limit. Like, like we all, I
Yeah.
think, do that in certain ways. And so
Mhm.
I had that feeling. And then I think um God was like, I can do something with this. I can do something with this. And
Yeah.
that's where my boy met me. And
Mm.
it was very, very beautiful. Very, 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 very beautiful.
Mm.
Because I also didn't have my comfort. I'm like, well, what you got to say about the fact that you looked at other people a certain way, but then you did what they did? There's no answer for me for that. I don't have one, right? And there's this feel there was just a feel of things. And I couldn't comfort myself. And there's one person, like I mentioned, that's the comforter. Like he does
Mhm.
that. And so I was in the shower one day and he was like, I can help you. I can make you feel better. And
Mhm.
you want to know I want to say? I love you. And I think that you you get to make decisions, and I want to make the decisions with you. I want you to make decisions with me in mind. But for the decisions where you made them without me in mind, you made them in haste, you try to do something in your own power, you did something without knowledge, whatever the thing is, I still love you even when you do that.
Mm.
I want you to know that. And I think I just started to get these little downloads of that. And I think it was really powerful for me to be like, oh, wow. Because I heard the word on the street, especially with the Christian folk, is you don't come back from this. God don't talk to you after this. You don't speak out for his word after this. There's certain
Mm.
things that after this point, encounters with God, please. Like that's not a thing. You're cast
Mm.
off. You're othered. And
Yeah.
so the fact that that was the complete opposite of my experience,
Mhm.
I was like, oh, you live, you dope. I was like, you got for real, because you stay true to what you say about you, not what
Yeah.
other people say about you.
That's
You
good.
show up for your people. Cause I have been saved when I was like 9 or something, right? So it's like, I'm technically one of your kids. I'm a king's kid for sure. And so even as prodigal son as I'm acting, as
Mhm.
probably as a way as I've gotten in this area, you waiting on me with open arms and a robe. Like that's beautiful. And
Yes.
they ain't tell me that you be doing that. Like that's dope, right? And so one day he was like, we can pray this down right now. You can just be straight. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't have to belabor no points. We both know you learning more about me right now than you ever have, learning more about you than you ever have right now.
Mhm.
And I had a thought. I was again in New York. My boyfriend's in St. Louis, and I decided I wasn't having sex no more. I was like, there's no way to avoid this all the way. Unless you avoid this all the way. Like that's
Right.
just the point blank period.
Mhm.
So I made that decision. And then a couple months had gone past, and it's time to go home. Go home. And I was strong, y'all. I was strong. And then the last day before I go
Oh
back to the
Lord.
city, I had sex. And I was like, Jesus, now, my bad. Like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. But I was like, I just, and I was upset, but I also was
Mm.
like, I mean, I'm really going for something and doing something with a different conviction and a different reason, and a different thought
Yeah.
than I ever have before. And the fact that
Mm.
I'm disappointed that I did something that I was cool with doing for years.
Yeah.
Oh, you're working. I was like, I see. So
Yeah.
I felt like, okay, we just dust ourselves off, pick up our conviction, try again. Like that's all you can do
Yeah.
because you've already did the gym. So me and my boyfriend broke up
Oh,
after that.
wait,
Yeah, because
why?
I was like, you're not aligned. You're not aligned. And I'm
Oh,
starting to see my
okay.
conviction. You before you haven't been going away, right? And so I held that to high esteem. That while we didn't been to 2 colleges together, high schools
Mm.
together, like my ups and downs, your ups and downs, like all these things. and you're still here. This is great. And so you get points for that, right? But
Mhm.
now I've encountered God in this way where I feel like I've done something that I heard he don't like. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I've shown up in this way where I ain't think
Yeah.
about you for real. Like all these things that we're talking about being
Mm.
a partner with Christ. I haven't been the best partner. And you're
Mm.
sticking around. That's
Mm.
great. And then my boyfriend, I'm telling you, I don't think I want to have sex. And then we did. And I was there for it. Please know, right? So it's like I engaged in that. But I was like, I don't think you feel like you're not feeling what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
so again, for me to stay on this path that I found myself on, who is sticking with me? Who even after I slipped up this time, you
Mm.
rocking with me?
Mhm.
Is God. And so
Yeah.
that's where I'm going. And so and it was easier to do because we live in the same state. So I was like, okay, bye. So
Okay.
and we've been together for years, right? So it's like, okay, for real, for real. Like, do you wanna tattoo this person on you or no? And I decided
Mm.
this no. So that started my celibacy journey and my weight and my relationship with God. I think, and not, I guess not start. It brought me to it brought God into a new room in my house. He was in the
Mm.
room in my house before. When I went to my job in New York, I pray. I didn't pray much, but I prayed.
Mhm.
And but now I'm like, I could be in Trader Joe's and be having a conversation with God, or I could be getting lost reading Exodus and I look up, it's been hours. Like, you know what I'm saying? We were
Mhm.
not rocking like that at all at this time. And so I got baptized shortly after this. Um, and that was great. And I was so excited. And it was just really dope. And I was really encountering, I'm watching sermons down on YouTube. Like it's just a lot of me discovering who God
Yeah.
is and a real God, not what other people say, not what my mom said, but
Yeah.
like, who is God for real? Because I think I don't know. I think I thought I knew. And I'm a good person. So I'm good, you good. But I don't know you for real. And I don't know
Mhm.
me for real. And you said you could tell me some stuff. Let's talk, you
Yeah.
know? And it was really great. I got to meet so many great people, do so many dope things. And I'm in this new place. And so I really feel like I got a fresh start.
Mhm.
And so yeah, I think it just goes to show how God can use anything. Things
Yeah.
that he don't like, things that detest him, things that he doesn't destine for you, he can make a part of your story. He can make you be like, okay, okay. And you don't really throw him for a loop. He knows everything, right? But
Right.
it's just like you walking with him on that journey of being like, all right, so I can use this for your good, but we're gonna have to put in some work to get it
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to put in some prayers to get it done. We're gonna have to have you
Mhm.
learn some new scriptures to get it done. We're gonna have to put you around some new people to get that
Mhm.
done. But
Mm.
I'm God. We gonna get it done, right? So that's kind of where we landed. Oh my gosh, I forgot one thing. So there was I felt pretty good, but I still was at that space where I wasn't talking to people about it. I cut off my boyfriend. He was the only person that knew, right?
Yeah.
And I hadn't told another human being.
What was his
So
opinion
we got,
about it? Did he like did you guys
yeah.
decide together or you were just like, "Girl, I know I can't do this, so it don't matter what he says."
um, I think so. The decision was mine to make
Okay.
because my body, my choice type thing.
Mhm.
I do think I think he could have gone either way, to be honest. I
Okay.
think that if I wanted to have it, we would have figured that out. And I think if
Oh.
I didn't want to, he got it because babies are a big deal. So,
Okay.
um, yeah, I think that he grieved more than me, to be honest with you.
Mm.
Which again, I think part of that is because it's one, because he could have gone 50-50, where there was no 50-50 for me. Two,
Okay.
after I had feelings from wherever they came from, I now have a source to take my feelings to. I have someone that I'm
Mm.
praying to. And
Yeah.
so going back to that original question, do you got this? And me saying no, for him, you're walking with all your emotions by yourself. And
Yeah.
so I think that we definitely grieve different. He wanted to talk about it more than me. And I was like, I need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Eventually I did. But at the time, I was like, You know, like, I don't know. I just was like, I don't want
Yeah.
to talk about it.
Yeah. And I think this is countercultural, but I do think that men, that sucks for them too, regardless of them carrying the child
Mm-hmm.
or not. It was his child as well.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't talk
Mm-hmm.
about that part as well. So it does suck that he had to grieve that. But obviously, you guys, you were not in a space to do that, obviously, at the time. And then later, you guys did have that
No.
conversation. But I do like to highlight that, you know, men care as well.
They do. Yes. No, guys care. And I love, there are also believers who care. I want to say that to people. So
Mm,
I went to a clothing swap at the church I was attending at the time. And so I'm thinking, I'm just going there for some swag. Like, people in this church be rocking some good pieces, and I'm about to get me some good pieces. I get there, and they were like, okay, thank you guys for coming out. We want to highlight our two sponsors of the evening or whatever. And one of them was this company. I know for sure they're based in NYC. You can look them up and see if they're based anywhere else, but they're called Avail. So think availability, but Avail. So
okay.
Avail was there, and they were at org where they talk to you pre and post pregnancy and like family planning. I guess I don't know about family planning. I don't know if that's the right words, but they talk to people
Mm-hmm.
that are pregnant or were. And so
Mm,
when they had some cards at the door with their information and stuff, and so I took it, and I found out that they do counseling for people post abortion, and they're
mm,
all of their volunteers are people who are mothers. So they are, or they could have been mothers.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So I went to that, and that was the first time that I shared with somebody that wasn't my boyfriend's time, wasn't God. And I was
mm,
able to chat, and I was able to say, like, yeah, like, I don't wish that I had a baby, but I know that this is bad. I'm not having
mm-hmm,
sex anymore, and I broke up with this person. I feel like he could have been there for me more, but then I also feel like I could have been there for him more. Like, I got to
mm,
explore
yeah.
these things, and it was with the person who didn't try to push any ideas on me. It was with somebody who had walked where I walked. They also had to pray certain prayers, right? They also had to
Mm,
get to a place, and they got to such a place where they're volunteering their time to talk to other people. Like,
mm-hmm,
I thought that was so beautiful, and it was so unexpected, and
mm,
I wasn't thinking, oh, I can't wait till I feel like I can talk to somebody, right? So I just, again, I wherever I'm at, and then whatever I didn't discuss, it was like, well, we'll get to it one day or whatever it is. But me going to this event and God placing this opportunity there, and then me having enough stirred up in me to be like, oh yeah, let's take a car, let's set up a meeting, let's talk to somebody. That was really pivotal for me as well, because I think I was in a space where the people at Avail aren't my friends. I'm not going to brunch with them. I'm not doing life with them. And so you can just listen. And I
mm-hmm.
don't have to feel like I have to bring a certain part of me to the conversation in order to get you to do that. And you also have tools and knowledge and things to give to me to help me if I need to further process or if I needed other resources. So shout out to Avail, because they really, really helped at a time that I didn't even know I wanted help.
Yeah, that is beautiful. So, how do you feel like this whole experience, so starting from the abortion to where you're at today, like how do you feel
Mm-hmm.
like your experience has affected your romantic relationships?
Good question. My romantic relationship. So, um, I have not had a boyfriend since then. Let me start there.
Okay.
um, and that is, we're coming up on 6 years, I think. So it's been a minute. And my celibacy hit 5 years. Um, or abstinence hit 5 years, and like, so I think it's less. I honestly think it's less. I'm gonna say it's less this situation. This situation was the door to get me to be like, oh, why God original design his original design? Like, that helped me to figure
Mhm.
that out, right?
Okay.
So I will say that's the bridge for me making the decision is I don't want to be pregnant no more. How can I do that? okay, God was onto something. That's how I started. Me
Mhm.
staying there, because of course you get temptation. Of course, I'm living in New York City. I'm going
Mm.
out and about. Like
The
there are
men's be
people
out there.
that,
The men's be out there.
you know what I'm saying? So like there are situations, but so I don't think that alone can keep you there, right?
Right.
So my relationship with God helps me to be like, nah, nah, nah. But fear as well, like, nah, I can't be nobody mama, and I can't make that decision I made again either. Like I have a
Mhm.
different awareness of that. So both of these avenues are no. The mama thing and another abortion is not a thing for me.
Mhm.
So gotta stay diligent, and to
Yeah.
not feel joy while I'm staying diligent, and to
Mhm.
feel empowered while I'm doing that. Gotta keep talking to God, because if you just take the don't want to be a mom and don't want to have an abortion, that's not enough. Or it's
Mm-mm.
you're gonna be sure you don't have sex, but now you sad. That's nobody want to be sad. So that was the bridge to how I got there. I think I've had different phases of my relationship life, if you will. In the beginning, I didn't want to talk to nobody. I've been with my boyfriend for like 8 years. So I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm not a girlfriend anymore. That's great. I was hustling when I first got here. I'm like one of the last people to be in the office. Then gotta take a train from 46th Street to Bed-Stuy. Like I don't have to be on FaceTime when I get home. I can just take a shower and go to sleep. Oh, this is great. Like I was like, I'm free. I can be with my friends, and we
Yeah.
just are single in the city. And not even on some Sex in the City stuff, but just like I can have a girls' night with my girls and not talk like worry about, oh, I haven't texted you back. Like I felt like removal of constraints of having to care about somebody else's feelings, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. And that
Yeah.
felt really nice.
Mhm.
So I stayed there. My career is very important. And so I got to go ham in that. And then I feel like it wasn't until like right before the pandemic when I started to
Mm.
want to move and groove. And then you can't move and groove like you want to because we all on lockdown. So I'm like,
Praise
oh
God.
God,
Praise God for that.
what's happening right now? What's happening right now? Because is this personal? Like what? Is this personal? And so you gotta eat that. Like what you gonna do with global pandemic? What you gonna do?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I download the apps, not for me. I love a chit in the chat in person. That's my
Mhm.
vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that I have to desire like bubble up, not even desire like straight up lust, but just like I could enjoy some male energy, like you know what I mean. And
Mhm.
then it's like, well, you're not enjoying nobody energy because we all might die. Like that's literally the thing. And progressively from 2020 to now, it has bubbled up more where I'm
Mhm.
desiring partnership. I'm desiring to like spend time with somebody's son, like XYZ. And so that is um I had to get used to that and have to tell myself that's okay, because
Mhm.
I found again, I can say this now, I guess. I didn't think about it before. I think I don't know if it was pride, but I had a sense of accomplishment that I wasn't fiending to talk to somebody. I had a sense
Mm.
of accomplishment that God was enough. My friends was enough. My career, like, like I felt cool with me and what I
Yeah.
had going on. So that's like, I don't want to call it pride. I think it was good. I just don't think when the transition happened I also now want my friends and my career and my time in New York and my peace with myself to talk about that with a guy or to share that with somebody. I ain't handled
Mhm.
that transition well. I was like, let's shut these feelings down and go back to you
Mm.
just being cool with you. And I
Mm.
think that was because that's something I felt I could control. You can control how I respond to my career. I can control how I respond with my friends, but I can't control what you do if I like you and you like me. And not even on a sex tip, but just like, do we vibe?
Yeah.
You don't know until you text somebody and see if y'all vibe. So I
Mhm.
think I was trying to shut it down because I'm like, we're going into this new era, and we're going into this new era with new revelations about who you are, new
Mhm.
revelations about what you're supposed to do, new revelations about what is a girlfriend now that
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
care about God and you talk to God every day. What is that? All
Mhm.
right. How I want to be treated and how I expect that I should treat this guy looks totally different than how the last time I was a girlfriend. I think me being older, years passing, I'm like, how do people even talk in the world today? What is dating? What's the dating game got going on? I don't even know, right? So I think there was this feeling that I was ignorant to how it's supposed to go, and that all guys in my head, they keep on dating. So you know how it's supposed to go, and I'm just seeing weird because I don't know how it's supposed to go. So I have these thoughts that I don't even think had relation to the abortion itself, but just
Okay.
like I do though, my abortion has carried me to God. Now that I'm with God and I'm talking about I want to be with you, what does that look like? I'm out of my bounds. Oh, it's too much. Like that is where I was. So and
Okay.
I'm still there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't feel like there's been any like fears with being in romantic relationships because of your abortion?
No, I
Okay.
do think there's thoughts of how you cannot avoid talking to people though because you're trying to avoid having sex. That ain't a thing. At some
Mm.
point, if you desire a relationship, you are gonna have to be in close proximity with a temptation. That's
Mm-hmm.
like a thing.
Yeah.
And so I think it's more of that more than
Okay.
anything, which is that would have I think I would have been faced with that maybe with less conviction to be honest if I didn't have the abortion. But if I was a
Mm.
29-year-old virgin, that's the same thing. You're 29 since you're not married, and you desire to be, you got to talk to someone multiple times and not have sex with them if you're trying to do what I want you to do. And
Yeah.
so I think since I have met God in that place of my desire being his desire and trying to stay on that path, I'm like, now how we do that? Like, how do we do it? And
Yeah.
what makes me nervous is I don't see a lot of messages saying that that's a thing for people, that they successfully done it. And so
Oh yeah.
shows like the parallel, that's
Yes.
I need it. I need it because it's
Yeah.
like, am I in this thing alone? Somebody
Yeah.
tell me, ring the alarm. Where my people at?
Love that. Okay, so what would you say to the girl who is concerned about that? Like, I've had an abortion, like, what is he going to
Mm-hmm.
think of me or whatever? Like, what would you say to her?
Yeah. Your mate, and I really believe this, y'all. Your mate is, people say that they're a mirror of you, but they also are supposed to be a mirror of Christ, right? Just like we
Mm-hmm.
are. We're individual mirrors of Christ. We are made in his image. And so, just if Christ accepts you, if you I don't know, if you mess up at work, right? Your boss has to be like, you know what? I accept that you are a good worker. You're an asset to the team. And so we going to clean that up. We'll move forward with the next project.
Mm-hmm.
God sees the entirety of your life beginning to end before you lived it. And he said, she's good enough to make. She's good enough to form. She's good enough to craft. I'm going to place her here. I'm going to put some purpose on her life. And she's going to walk that thing out. And I'm going to be with her every step of the way. And happy to watch her live it out at the same time. Like that's him, right? So if our partner mirrors that and our actual partner, I don't think the fear is going to be met with what I'm saying with just dating people because they not the image of Christ that he has for you. But I
Mm-hmm.
do think you're a person, whoever that is going to accept that. And I think one, they will embody what love is outlined to us in Corinthians to be. And so that don't say nothing about, except if somebody had an abortion, don't love them. Like that's not there.
Right.
So if they're embodying that and they're embodying Christ,
Yeah.
that's a thing that's gonna
Mm-hmm.
come with their love for you.
Mm-hmm.
And the validation that you're seeking, the more that you accept the love that Christ has for you, I don't even think that'll be a thought. It'll be just like, I'm not expecting when I meet my person that I'm gonna have to explain that I'm black and be like, is that okay? And da da da. It's like, now that's a thing. And I don't even. It's apparent. It's a thing. It's gonna continue to be a thing, and it's not something
Yeah.
that I can undo. And so I'm
Yeah.
thinking, whoever they are, let's say I date somebody that's not black, right? There could be some things that come up with
Mm-hmm.
two people having different races. But if that was to be a thing for me, I'm like, okay, well, if you're my person, we rock it. Like that's not gonna be a hurdle that we
Yeah.
jumping over because
Yeah.
God and destiny is you my person and you're gonna let me outside of what our differences are. That's the
Mm-hmm.
same thing with this. I think that so that's the first thing. I also believe that everybody has something. The difference is you don't know what the other person's thing is because you ain't
Mm.
them, right? And so a lot of people approach things with the right people approach things with caution and compassion and all the fruits of the spirit
Mhm.
because they also need the fruits of the spirit from you. They also need acceptance from you. They also need love from you. And
Yeah.
so again, I think you can encounter some people that are rude and sweet, right? I think you can encounter some people that don't got the love of our Lord and Jesus, our Lord, in them, operating in them, exuding from their being. Oh, you can find that all day, every day, like for sure.
Mhm.
But when you're talking about your people, I'm talking about even your friends, right? Like there are folk that are placed in your life that's their literal operating job is to exude the fruit of the spirit for you. So that's how you know it's real. There's the evidence of it being a thing.
Mhm.
And I believe that our God-given partner is a person that will do that. And part of that is accepting everything that comes with you. That's why they're gonna be willing to make the covenant to be with you. Because even as you're married, there'll be stuff that unfolds that they ain't see on a wedding day and they can't dip, right? And so I think
Praise God.
um yeah, praise God. I think that's like a little not trial. I ain't saying bust it out and see if he accepted it's my man, but I do think the person that does, there's something people that do. There's something to that. You being willing for me to talk about this on your show. I reach out to another Christian podcast. They're like, babe, you can go somewhere with that, right? But there's something when you get around people that accept your story,
Yeah.
accept your thing, um, that you know. And I
Mhm.
think outside of this, if you think about other areas, Christine Kane talks about her being adopted. There's some stuff that comes with people that are adopted. They have abandonment
Mhm.
issues. They have all these things. She could have had a fear of like, am I gonna get married? Because anybody want to deal with me and all my stuff. And this lady's married, got kids, going to college. Like she got ministry, but
Mhm.
she has to be willing to present her thing and know that I'm full and I'm accepted. I'm whole by Christ first. And
Mhm.
if you accept me, then I can know that you even accept me because you're mirroring what my father does.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Yes, God. Yes, that is so good. Yeah, and you have to remember, who are you choosing? What kind of man is in front of you? Is he actually going to mirror
Mm-hmm.
Christ like you just said? So, yeah, that is really helpful. So, last question I have for you. If you could go back and talk to that 16-year-old version of yourself before she went on this journey, what would you say to her?
What would I say? I would tell her to wait. I
Mm.
would tell her to wait. But I would tell her to talk to Christ about why.
Mm.
To talk to Christ about why. If I tell her why, it's a That's a Raven episode, and I'm just the
Yeah.
you from the future, and I'm trying to control you, and you're gonna try to control me to prove to you that you're wrong about
Right,
you. Like,
right.
right? Like that's the thing. And I put a lot of stock in me before, so maybe I would have listened to me. But
Oh,
when you
yeah.
get a conviction from Christ, it makes you, it's different. And it's
Mhm.
something that you can go back to with more certainty that you can go back to something that comes from you or that comes from your mama or it comes from something else.
Mhm.
Even people in our families that we know that are not virgins and they do stuff and we see, you know what I'm saying? Everybody in their family got somebody with a baby daddy, baby mama, they're not together, da da da, right? That's a
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
We all seen it. I had that in my family, still move forward with my thing. So that's not my conviction. That's not
Mm.
my
Yeah.
thing that I'm
Mhm.
supposed to carry in my bag that'll help me. And so I think you could be like, yeah, if you don't believe me, go talk to TT whoever. If you don't believe me, that's not gonna do it for a
Mhm.
long term. For me being 29 and I ain't married yet, that's not gonna do it. So I would tell me to wait, and I'm like, go to God about why. And I think that those who seek find, those who knock, the door shall be open, right? And so, and the wisdom won't be kept from you. And so, I think if I
Mm.
would have talked to him, and I'm knock on his door, and I'm like, I don't get this rule you got set up. I don't get it. class will be in session. All right,
Mhm.
let's talk about it. Let's go on why. And as I'm getting, and then that's starting a relationship that's different that I didn't start. I'm 22, 23, right? And so then if I struggle, if I'm upset, if I'm angry, if I feel it's not fair, if whatever, if I feel like, oh, you sure? Even in this context, he's like, I'm sure. Like, there's now a base in a relationship where I can go back, I can be
Yeah.
honest, I can share these things. And so, um, yeah, I would have started what my abortion started sooner, which is having a relationship with Christ in such a way where he can tell me something and I might not like it and I might not understand it. I could even slip up or I have conversations or whatever, right? That like could get
Mhm.
me off track, but I'm coming back because I respect you that much. I love you that much. And I feel your respect, your love, and your plans in order for me that I'm like, all right, we can do this. So
Mhm.
that's what I would say.
Yeah, that's all real good. That's all real good. Yeah. And I think the things that we get ourselves into tell us about ourselves, right? So you just talked about how you basically found in Christ someone who would always be there, right? And that's also what you found in your boyfriend. And that's what you took
Mm-hmm.
pride in as well, right? So you were
Mm-hmm.
looking for a beautiful thing in the wrong place and you have found it in Christ and it's more stable and it's exactly what you've been looking
Mm-hmm.
for your whole life. So I think as well we can look at our sexuality and ask questions of it. This author named Jay Stringer is really good about talking about that. Like our fantasies and our desires sexually do tell us about ourselves. So just being more curious about why you're making decisions, how you got to where you are, or whatever. But obviously, like you said, like Christ is going to be the best foundation to lay yourself
Mm-hmm.
on. So, man, that was good. Yes, Lord. All right. So,
Thanks for having me
of
on.
course. So, tell the people where they can find you.
Where I can be found. Come look for me, y'all. You can find me on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from at The Power in Prose. That's Prose podcast. You can also follow the show on YouTube at Power in Prose or on Instagram at Power in Prose podcast. And then me, myself, I'm Destanee. I go by Zest of Des on all platforms.
Good stuff. All right. So, as you guys know, you can follow Parallel at the Parallel Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Remember to speak the truth in love, kiss the sun, and I'll be talking to you guys soon. Bye. Oh, oh, there we go.